What's up, famo? Rod Dustin Lane's gonna give you more. Part 4. Now, it's quite evident that everything up in Europe, according to Dr. Clark, according to Walter Williams, according to Sheikh Anta Diop, according to Ivan Van Sertima, a lot of great scholars will show and prove that everything in Europe that they call historical, so-called ancient, or what's great was created by Africans. As I pointed out in the Arab invasion of Egypt by Dr. John Henry Clark. And we're going to take a look at Cristobal Colon's voyage. Cristobal Colon's voyage. What did he learn from the African, the Moor, whatever you want to call them? Because there'd be an argument about Moor, African. There'd be a great argument with this. But what did they learn from these schools that the Africans had built up there in Spain? We're going to take a look at Cristobal Colon's voyage. We all learned this and seen this in elementary, how Cristobal Colon, who was a Jew, an Irish Jew, Italian Jew, an Italian Jew, you know what I'm saying, a so-called Jew. Ain't no white folks Jews. We can even go on your Bible in 1 Corinthians 1:24 where it says, but unto them called both Jew and Greek. And we saw in Acts where I forget the motherfucker, John, was it Paul? John, one of them motherfuckers got his ass whooped because he brought Greeks into the temple for defiling the holy place. So all Greeks, all white folks are no good. Then, yesterday, and today, and even tomorrow. So, when we look at the so-called Jew, Cristobal Colon, he made his voyage. Now, he wanted to hit Asia from the west. So, if you want to go, you watch the sun come up in the east, travels south, ends up west, and then go down. You follow that sun. Alright? You want to go east? You go east. So if you want to go west, just go west. Why does motherfucker go south? And then go west. Huh? We finna go after this. Now, they learned it. These motherfuckers thought the world was flat. Alright. So they learned longitude and latitude from the Africans, the Moors, up in Spain. Decided to come out of their little cave. And they traveled. They heard. See, it was talks. It had to have been talks about that land to the west. So that's why he came down here. There's a reason why he came down here. Now, this is I think this is my old high school book. No, middle school. Longfellow. Anyway, we look at the world ocean current. See, this is the monsoons. And they talk about 1492 on how the white boy came over here. But we're going to look at the 1530. We're talking about latitude between the 15 degree just north of the equator, 15 on up to 30 degrees. You know what I'm saying? This is a very important area here, globally, within this stretch, if you lay that map out. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna touch on this in a minute. But as you see, the wind, this monsoon, this is why he came down. He heard about that monsoon, about the wind belt. How you come down here and it pushes you over here. So the motherfucker the lie is exposed right there. He did not want to go to Asia from to the back door. He wanted to come to this new world that the brothers in Spain told them about that was to the west. So he came down here. Now, I had stopped at one of my stores and delivered, and I saw this brother. I knew he wasn't from the state, and I said, "Man, you from West Africa, ain't you?" I said, "You from Senegal?" Boom. He was like, "Damn, how'd you know that?" He was amazed at my study, and I conversated. We had a great talk. But he told me about this island Gore. The island Gore. He said, he was telling me how the schools over there so hard, this and that. And whenever he left, he wanted to break, he would take a ferry over to Gore, and get him a peace of mind. Get him a peace of mind. What that map of Gore at? This is the island of Gore. This is the island of Gore. All right. And it says, the house of slaves and its door of no return is a museum and memorial to the Atlantic slave trade on Gore Island, 3 kilometers off the coast of the city of Dakar, Senegal. We're going to touch on the Senegal. All right. We're going to touch hard on the Senegal. So, this is why he made his little trip. With his trips. Come down to the west, south. He comes south, stops at the island of Gore, and then he moves on. See, this is his little slave trade and stealing Africans and coming back and forth. Even though Senegal is way down here, they like to play with these maps. But we understand what's going on. We understand highly of what's going on here. Now, it is said that in many of Cristobal Colon's laws that he wrote back to the king and said, he told the king that it's amazing that the people here in Caracas, Barbados, Espanol, he said these people have spears tipped in, spears with gold tips, silver tips, bronze tips, and they look just like the people of Senegal. He already knew that because it was the Africans that told him about this land to the west. See, motherfuckers playing mind games. And we can go to Ishaka Musubira Shango in that wind belt. That wind belt is a bad motherfucker. Because Eugene Adams. Eugene Adams also talked about the wind belt coming from East Africa going over to Cambodia. And that's where we get the saying, get in the wind. Check out Eugene Adams' Africans in Asia. That's a bad piece. But when we look at that, Ishaka Musubira Shango touches on this. Now, one thing about Ishaka Musubira Shango, because I'm gonna have some discussions with this about the Moors. Now, I love them brothers. We always chop it up whenever I run into one of them. We have great conversations. But Ishaka Musubira Shango, one thing about Ishaka Musubira Shango, he did great work. African people in European holidays, a mental genocide. And, sadly, he passed. I guess him and his wife had got into it. And he decided to sleep in his car overnight. And he froze to death. All right? This is where this 1530 is going to come into play. But I'm going to deal with that in a moment. He speaks of Cristobal Colon's voyage. And he's May 30th. Columbus, after having been informed by the king and queen of Spain that he had better come up with more than just a few islands and find a way to make a much greater dividend on their initial investment, set sail on his third voyage from Guyana coast, West Africa, for the South American mainland. Along the way, he passes ships filled with merchandise and manned by Africans returning from the West Indies to their homeland. On this trip, he encounters the island of Trinidad, where he is informed by the Indians that they had been able to obtain gold from black men who had come across the sea from the south and southeast. From Trinidad, named in honor of the Holy Trinity, Columbus sails on the mouth of the Orinoco River on the mainland. Yet once docked there, Columbus himself does not personally set foot on the land. After some pillaging by his crew members, he abruptly hoists anchors and returns to Spain. Okay, now it's clear that he's a sissy. He's a punk. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker was scared to get off the goddamn boat, so he sent his men in there. And some of the men, I'm pretty sure, were African. White boy's a sissy. He's a scary motherfucker, man. He's a scary motherfucker. He just ain't gonna, throw his chest out and go out and go to battle. You got some diehard, I'm not gonna say all of them. You got some diehard motherfucking white boys that that'll run up on you, and even run with some of the best of us. But the average white boy ain't gonna do that. He ain't gonna do that at all. He needs that nigga head, that nigga lead, to go first and forward and bring that hammer down on motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But We are an enslaved people from Africa, brought here by weak ass white motherfuckers, tricked over into this new land when we were already here. Ivan Van Sertima touches on the Olmec, right? And like I say, when we talk about that 1530, boy, let me tell you something. Ivan Van Sertima goes in, he goes in heavy with they came before Columbus. You know what I'm saying? And but we're gonna look at here in the same book. See, Chuck Wu Innocent, Robert Mugabe, all had it right. We look out for the people. You know what I'm saying? I said that all the greatest parties are in the West, but they get all their party supplies from the South. Now we look at manufacturing. Okay, that's what Juju, my man Juju out of South Africa, Julius Malema. He said we're gonna start taking all raw material and doing with it what the West is doing with it. You know, taking our shit for free. You know, they tried to silence him, but he's still pushing forward. Oh, Juju, Julius Malema. Now when we look at this, all the red are manufacturing companies. This is where all the manufacturing is. All the manufacturing, all over here, all up here in the West. You know what I'm saying? Up in America and all this, but all the fucking mineral wealth is in Africa. Zero manufacturing, all mining, all mining. You know what I'm saying? So you got the silly ass nigga talking about, you know, Tommy Sodomizer, niggas ain't shit, niggas ain't that. You always shitting on us. I don't shit on us because see the motherfucker don't know his story. He don't know who he is. He ain't studying. You know, he's studying from these motherfucking magazines. You know, but when we look at it, when we look deep at this, all the mining is here, but all the mining is here, but all the manufacturing is there. But these motherfuckers shutting down plants. They shut down Buick City here in Flint. They destroyed Detroit. What up with, you know, the auto industry? They destroyed all that shit by just shutting them down. You know? So if Chuck Muzima here in Nigeria, Chuck Wu Innocent, start creating that motherfucking start creating them cars, it's gonna be a beautiful thing. It's gonna be a beautiful. So Africa needs to pick up on manufacturing. It needs to pick up on manufacturing real quick. That's gonna be a beautiful thing. Robert Mugabe doing this thing down here in Zimbabwe. He's doing this. He's doing one. Once we pick up on manufacturing, it's gonna be a beautiful thing. But I'm gonna get back at you. I'm gonna get right back at you. Now I gave you a little bit more with this 4, but 5 is gonna be real live. It's gonna be real live because we're gonna get with that 1530. So it's Rod Dessalines at you. Stay tuned. Don't you touch that channel, because I'll be back.